computer.
Got it.
Hello and welcome back to Henry Weston's Old Mate, the podcast. Anyone watching this on YouTube will instantly see the other two numpties I have with me on the video. I am joined by the two other brothers and someone else in Paul's room there. This has been put together a bit on the short term. We had a message from an old friend, Mr. Royden, asked when the next Butler Brothers podcast was coming. We have been trying to do one for a while, and now we finally got it. I'll just run through the quick admin. Please like and subscribe to the videos and the channels. If you're listening to us on the audio version, please rate this 5 stars, rate the show. And if you really are, I've got nothing more to do with your money, send us a couple of quid via the coffee app. Right, these two are.
Why are you asking for money?
You don't have to.
What are you asking for money?
I gave him a coffee. No, I gave him 3 coffees.
Yeah,
because I'm a better brother.
Is he trying to make money out of this now? Let's just change it to last time. You know, asking
no, you can't. I can tell you for sure you can't make money podcasting. These two with me, Paul and Alex, they are in actually different countries to when we last spoke. Paul's on a little secondment from his regular German base, and Alex has moved from the UAE, just outside of Dubai in Al Ain, where he was. He has moved all the way over to North Carolina in the United States of America. Let's go over there first. Axel, how are you?
Sure.
Tell us what you've been up to.
All good. Happy in North Carolina. In the city of Raleigh, or well, they say, yeah. I say Raleigh. They say Raleigh. It all gets confusing. They think of Raleigh.
Anyway, with and they say Raleigh.
Seeing as you're a guest, that you're saying it wrong.
No, well, no, it's our. I remind them it's our language that they speak. But anyway, it's all good. Yeah, I've got 7 weeks left of school, and then I have a 10-week summer holiday. So yeah, so I'm just powering through.
But for those in the UK or anyone else who say teachers have it easy, it's unpaid holiday, sadly.
Unpaid holiday for Americans. We only get paid 10 months of the year. So I've been having to save monthly.
Well, Paul is getting paid double where he is for obviously sitting around drinking Corona by the looks of it.
Yeah, and a dinner reservation at 7. Yeah, working hard.
So, Paul, explain to us why you're not in Germany at the moment, as best you're allowed.
Basically, we're just here. We've got our vehicles that we look after. We're issuing them back to a unit of the army whilst they sort of pretend to play war with them.
Okay.
And then they'll fuck them all up, and then we'll fix them all again for them.
And I was.
It's a training exercise, essentially.
And you're in Lithuania, aren't you? We haven't mentioned that.
Yeah, Vilnius. Capital city, in the Hilton.
In a Hilton in Vilnius could be the start of a very dodgy shit porn film potentially.
Yeah.
Right.
A 9-week bender, and we have to do a little bit of work occasionally.
Because when they're doing their exercise, you're not there, are you? Only when they come back.
Have you? The big question is: have you been issued with a rifle?
Huh?
Have you been issued with a rifle?
No, but the worrying thing is that this base we're at, there is a lot of Americans just sort of running around with loaded guns.
Oh yeah, they love it. Yeah,
and anyone
who
watches
to check if there's anything in there.
If you ever come to Raleigh, Pitbull, that's exactly what it's like here.
Just say anyone who watches the news anywhere will know that Americans with guns doesn't normally end very well for anyone, does it? So when we last chatted and we put together a little. No, not montage. We put together a little podcast, let's say, for Dad around Father's Day last year. Listeners will be pleased to know he's still hanging in there.
He's just about hanging in there.
I'm sure that.
If it sounded like a tribute podcast, he's still going. So with Father's Day fast approaching, he may make another one. Well done, Michael.
Looking like a starved chicken at the moment.
I saw the parents' new car this morning. Yet another new car.
Pictures of it. Yeah, Mum's already added me to the insurance.
Whoa!
Yeah,
what car have they got?
You'll love it. It's a Picasso.
What?
Well, a new Citroen C5, but basically a Picasso, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got a winch in the back to put the mobility scooter.
So have they still got the Golf as well?
No.
Is Dad going to be sat on the mobility?
That was a Polo anyway, wasn't it?
Huh?
Yeah, it was a Polo.
It was a Polo, was it?
was a golf.
Yeah. No. Oh, yeah, it was a Golf Plus.
Oh, a
Oh,
golf
yeah.
plus. Okay.
It was a golf.
So it was a golf, but no, they
Anyway,
haven't
stop
got
talking shit.
the golf.
Move on.
My van's been sold, so no one's going to inherit that now.
No, they didn't even consult me about that. Which
Surely I get the Picasso now. I'll get
I had
that
a
car
few,
because
I
you
had a
two
few
got
words
the
with mother
cars.
about that.
Yeah, I don't need. I get plenty of free stuff off them with you two not being here, so it's all fine.
My van's in the garage at the moment, getting all done up for when I'm back.
Right, come on, you toppers. What's on the list?
Well, just the other thing we should probably mention: Paul's van's in the garage having a baby seat fitted. Is what?
Yes.
What the fans will love to
Say
hear.
congratulations to
So
all the
this
fans.
might be the last podcast Paul features on for at least 4 years.
Well, no, it won't be. I'll be doing one in like Asia when I've legged it from Germany.
So Paul is going to, congratulations, Paul is going to be a father. So yeah, don't donate to the coffee app this week. Donate to Paul's GoFundMe page for his future life
For my ruined life at 40.
Is there a word for a new dad at 40? They're like you get these men in lycra mammals or whatever. I wonder if there's a word.
I think they're called idiots.
Yeah. Wow. All the best, and please leave a comment on either YouTube or the podcast to see how you think Paul will get on as a new father. Axel, you wanted to know what's going on here, so you've been on
because you two are talking shit.
You've been on to us about you want to discuss some of the drinking years from back in the day. So I thought a good place to start probably.
Or non-drinking years.
Yeah, keep your phone still.
You can't drink.
yeah, they were always non-drinking years for Axel. But I thought a good place to start would be Worth Cricket Club, and Axel being 5 years younger than me. So me and Paul started playing 10 or 11 pits, a few sort of Sunday games at Fine Leg. That would have been around sort of the 1991. I'd have been 11. So it was about that. And then it sort of maybe when you were the age of 14, we'd get a lift. We were playing more regularly, and we'd get a lift with Messrs. Hill, Ford, Debman, anyone who was coming out.
Marky
might feature in a discussion on another podcast.
Oh God!
Operation YouTube podcast. So I remember when we first started being entrusted to sort of stay at the cricket club and just get dropped off at home whenever. I didn't really like beer, but you enjoyed the old English ale that people were more than happy to buy you, Pits.
What 70p?
70p.
So how much it was? What, for a half?
Andy Croft Senior behind the bar, pouring them away.
Just sort of chuck them at me all night long until I fell over. It was brilliant.
At 14.
Yeah, and I never really used to drink them. Well, I just didn't like beer back then. But I have got a note. This isn't at the Worth Cricket Club, but Paul did start sort of the drinking a little bit before me. But do you remember your first night getting drunk, Paul? Because I do.
Yes. The Cinzano, the Nuki Brown.
Newcastle Brown Ale.
Oh.
Cinzano, Victoria Park.
Yeah.
Freezing cold.
Yeah,
ice all over the floor. Paul drinking Newcastle Brown Ale, followed by Cinzano, followed by slipping over and hitting his head harder than I have ever seen anyone hit their head. And then me having to walk you home. And you chose to then walk in and see mum and dad in the living room.
I chose the wrong option that night.
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah.
Instead of going down to bed, you said, no, I'll be fine. And then did you start throwing up that night?
I don't know if I threw up or not. But I still, to this day, if I even smell Cinzano, I want to die.
What?
You'd have been. I
was in bed,
then,
I imagine.
Axel.
Yeah, in bed asleep. I was probably 9 or 10
in his multicoloured bedroom.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. He was going through a phase then. But back to the cricket club. That was. What do you remember from that, Pitts? I remember The nominations dice, the poker dice coming out, a few games of spoof,
Chase the Ace.
Chase the Ace. So anyone who's sort of played in a sports team where drinking is a bit of a culture, you'll be sort of au fait with all the drinking games that basically involve someone getting stitched up on most nights. The nominations were a very simple game that you just used to roll the poker dice, and the seventh ace made the drink, did they? The 14th ace paid for the drink, and the 21st ace drank the drink. It was very simple. And if you had 7 or 8 people round the table, those 21 aces didn't take too long to roll round. And every now and again, you'd end up. I remember, so especially over at the cricket club where drinks were kind of limited, it would be a brown ale would go in, a couple of shots of vodka would go in, and then someone would put the piccalilli in, someone the pickled egg in,
mustard, all sorts would go in.
Ford would put his own pubic hair in.
Pubic roll-ups, remember them?
Now, I also wanted to know if anyone could remember the pints of water challenge that Tom O'Shaw famously knocked 17 minutes off the club record and then nearly died through being sick for an hour. What was I've got 3 pints of water. Was it 6 pints? Was it 3? Was it 4? I can't remember the number.
It was 3 pints in there. Yeah, you just had to drink 3 pints of water in. I don't know what the time was.
Well, I think the record when Tomo did it, I think the record was something silly like 17 minutes. And Tomo did it in something like 3 minutes.
I didn't do it in 17 minutes.
I don't know what was going on. He knocked ridiculous amounts off the record, but that was...
It might have been 3 pints in 10 minutes, I think.
Right. And then when he did that, that was before the clubhouse was reconfigured and the new change rooms were put on. And I remember, you remember when the toilet used to be round the back? And he spent a good hour round the back being...
I don't know if he was round the back. He was just being sick everywhere.
Surely like the K challenge, though, it doesn't count if you're sick.
No, I don't know. He probably failed it.
Just saying.
But Bomber Command. I've got some sort of other games written down. Oh, the games were fun. But the most famous stitch up for many a year was the Marky Mark shots of what I think we were
water and tequila, wasn't it?
Lots of tequila and sambuca at the cricket club. We had 3 or 4 rounds. No one else had alcohol.
That was in the King's Head. That was in the King's Head.
Yeah, but the shots started at the cricket club. We started at the cricket club that day.
Yeah.
It was a bank holiday Sunday going into the Monday, I think.
And then we got down there.
Yeah. Can't hear you, Pitts.
Yeah. Hello.
Keep your phone still.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
You keep moving. How are the viewers meant to watch you when your phone's moving?
Owen McGrath does this. People watching the video must.
Well, maybe we should start. Stuart's coffee fund can buy me a laptop then.
There's only 40 quid in it.
And I go, what?
What do you remember of the cricket club, Axel? Because you were a bit behind.
No, I don't remember much of it. I don't remember any of the games.
You've been a bit behind.
See your drinking crew, your top 4, Alex Butler, Spike, Johnny Bishop and Dave Bishop, not going to be
out of those 4, I was the
winning
drinker.
Many games of
I came
or anything, are you?
Yeah, I came through with the youngsters.
Young
and young Darren Paul. Yeah.
I think you got the drinking culture had changed a little bit by the time that I got there. It wasn't so wild.
Okay.
If it's mixing between the both, then worth and warmer, wouldn't it?
Yeah, most of my time was spent at warmer.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Well,
so Paul North and everyone then.
Yeah, and whatever the silly thing is, where they're a priest and someone's a vicar and whatever it is, you got to do the tapping. What's that?
Cardinal Puff.
Yeah, Cardinal Puff.
The Cardinal Puff
at that. Yeah,
I was talking about that the other night with someone.
I
want to bring it out in Lithuania.
So
tell you who can't do it, Owen McGrath.
He can't reply to a text message at the minute either. Owen, if you're watching this, reply to the text message. So the drinking from the cricket club, whichever cricket club we were at, would have then moved into town generally, but obviously now me and Paul were sort of moving forward to where Paul knew the pubs around Deal because you started working in them quite early bits.
Working being the operative word, no drinking was happening at this time. Especially not Nick Chadwick throwing me through the toilet window to get in the car when I was 15.
It's because he's moving his phone. I have to tell people so many times that you need to keep
that's a lovely screenshot of his face, by the way.
That never happened.
Okay.
We
Well, you
didn't
can't
hit
hear
any
you,
of that
Pitch. When you
bit.
wobble the phone around, it all goes to pot.
I'll try not to move.
Thank you.
There we go.
So the King's Head, many.
You guys had the Clarendon. I never had the Clarendon, and you had
We had the
Albies.
Clarendon
I never had Albies. Well, I once went to try to go to Albies when I was 16, but I got in and Pitbull got turned away for being too drunk.
It happened quite a lot.
So I never went in.
I remember they used to, I remember the Albies was brilliant because you used to go in there at 16 and they'd ask you your date of birth. If you didn't get it quite right, they'd toss a coin to see if they let you in.
That's nice.
Oh, you've got two chances. You get your date of birth right. It's on tails.
Yeah, I mean that was an interesting establishment, Albies, wasn't it? And yeah, you'd be pretty pissed to go up there. But back to the King's Head. So we'd always end up there after cricket in the early years, Pitch, but very soon it became, when we sort of got nearer the age of 18, sort of, or me sort of 17, maybe late 16, but it became a regular, or our regular pub. And it became regular on the sort of days that we were going down there. And it was probably most days, maybe we'd have Wednesday off, would we? But there was normally a reason to go down the pub.
I think me and North done every day for 6 months in there, didn't we? I think.
Yeah, they used to. Well, their weekends were the weekends, and sort of the Thursday become the new Friday. Wednesday was pool night, although the King's Head obviously never had a pool table. But Monday we'd go and play darts, and then when we weren't playing darts, like the Duns and Pete, what's his name? When Tesco's was in Deal, they used to have a Monday night drinking club, didn't they?
Pete Kitson.
So there was always something to do, and I think I've wrote about it a bit and mentioned it. Those nights, they were never popping out for one or two, were they?
No, it was you go in there and get steamboated.
Yeah,
they go to work the next day.
Yeah.
They go ready. Yeah, absolutely steaming still.
Yeah,
and also used to have a tactic that he would drive to work the night so he could sleep at work.
Who was that?
Martin.
Oh yeah.
Really clever.
But to be fair, when he was first started coming out, he was only working 7:30 till about 11, wasn't he? As a trainee postie.
We had that time that Saul woke up in the Pfizer's canteen in just his underpants.
What? I've never heard this.
I saw Saul last weekend. Actually, he was doing quite well. Sipping a pint with a live crab in it.
Yeah, he thought he'd do the sensible thing and drive to work steaming. And at 7 o'clock the next morning, he was woken up in the canteen because he got in there just in his underpants.
I bet he'd lost his shoes
on a Tuesday night or something.
Yeah. So, Axel, what you sort of joined us a bit later, but what are your first memories of the Deal pubs? Who would you have been drinking with?
I had my little crew, didn't I? I had Matt, Dad, I had Simon, I had the girls. We had Katie, Tony, Mary. We had our little crew that we would do we would at least do every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then day drinking Sunday. We had Giggsy, Mr. Royden. He was our Thursday night man down at Strand.
Yes, when he was night manager down there, or whatever title.
You'd give him £1, he'd give you £2 back and 10 shots. So, yeah, he was.
Well, that's a good story. I remember when Paul had a girlfriend who worked behind the bar in the Clarendon. You could get 20 bottles of Cherry VK. She'd give you 20 quid change from your £5 note.
No, it was Smell of Ice, wasn't it?
Oh, I can't remember. Martin Pierce had mentioned it on a Facebook status the other day.
I used to make a fortune on a Saturday night after cricket. I used to make an absolute fortune. I can't believe they sacked her. I'd have married her if she hadn't sacked her.
I wonder what Lisa's doing nowadays.
So yeah, that was anyway. That was my crew. We had sometimes we'd join in with you guys. Other times we'd do it separate. But a lot of the times we was in your area. We'd always start at the King's Head and then venture to other places. Matt loved to drink. Simon was a quiet man in the corner, and then you'd turn to him after what felt like an hour, and he'd just be on the floor.
I'll tell you, it's quite funny as well. When
Oh,
I remember that you can go on YouTube and watch Axel cry on TV.
well, I'm glad we only got the end of that.
Let's go back to that because we lost you for a minute, Paul, as you were juggling your phone again.
Is it? We can move on.
Alex below us, it's not been mentioned on any of the previous podcasts. Axel, do you want to tell us the real story, or do you want me and Paul just to make up a story around your first ever TV appearance?
Well, unfortunately, people can't go and watch it for themselves. So
is it not on YouTube?
No, not on YouTube. No.
Is it nowhere on the internet?
No, it's not. No,
Yes,
it's not on the internet. No, it's not on
No,
YouTube.
so Alex, in the year 2009, is that correct, Axel?
Yeah, New Year's Day, 2009.
New Year's Day, 2009, Alex appeared on a very famous game show that involved 16 box. No, how many boxes? 16 boxes?
22.
22 boxes, and you had to. Well, it's not quite as bad as letting Jimmy Savile fix it for you, but you had to do a deal or not with Noel Edmonds.
No, Noel wasn't the banker, with a mysterious man who nobody knew who he was. Yeah, and you had to make a deal. I thought I was going to be the first ever $250,000.
So you played a strong game, Axel.
Strong until the last 5 boxes.
After a very positive start.
This wasn't on the podcast list.
Your game went downhill rapidly. You ended up with 750 quid and cried your eyes out. Is that?
Yes, that's what happened on New Year's Day. Yeah, and Jared Bond screaming in my ear. Thank you, Jared.
and there was a certain lady in the pub that started off sat next to you, and the longer they went on,
because you thought I was going to win. Yeah,
the further away she got from the money.
Great to watch. My favourite bit was through the tears and the sniffles. You did proclaim to the world that you told your mum you were always going to go for it.
Always. Yeah. You'll see. Just wait till the will. You'll be laughing. You'll see.
I don't think the second TV appearance is worth talking about, is it?
Minute to Win It, though. That only had one series, and we lost to a bunch of girls. So let's move on.
Well, move on. Let's move on, but backwards in a sense, because there is a period when we were talking about the early drinking days, as fun as they were in the pub. And we could sort of regale many stories. I remember one that was particularly funny was Graham Stiles ringing our parents absolutely irate because one of us had stolen the plug to the glass washing machine, which as a pissed up 20-year-old, you don't think is too much of a problem. And you don't know what the old bastard's moaning about and just get on with it. And then when you sober up and realize that he's got multiple hundreds of pint glasses that he now
needs 300 pint glasses there.
No way of washing, and he's got people who want to spend more of their hard-earned cash on said beer. You can now think back. I think back to another time when sitting, talking to Graham and asking him what was going on with the telly on one side of the pub, and he said, "Do you know what, Stuart?" He said, someone stole the TV remote a month ago.
I wonder who that was.
And I knew exactly which porcelain glass it was in hanging from the roof, but I obviously couldn't tell him at the time.
Do you not remember when he told us about how he got this man to do all of the boards outside in the amazing font that he could write handwritten in chalk outside, and then the next morning I woke up and saw them in the garden.
Yeah, we stole them.
There was a plan hatched to steal a fruit machine at one point, I think, to see if we could get away with it. But what I wanted to say was I
posted that plug through his letterbox, didn't I?
Posted the plug?
Yeah, I put it because I had that moment of guilt. I went home with it and then I come back about 3 o'clock in the morning and posted it through his letterbox. I felt so bad about it.
He was... Dad, I don't know if Mum or Dad answered the phone, but they said he was not a happy bunny about that. But quite often there'd be a bit of pre-drinking going on, and it probably wasn't in the it wasn't at that sort of when we were sort of 17, 18. It was a few years later on. And Club Cookson's has been mentioned on a couple of podcasts. And without going into too much detail, it was a good friend of ours. His parents used to holiday. They had a holiday home down in the New Forest. So every now and again, they'd vacate their house in the middle of Deal, and their sons,
We go and ruin it.
our friends would invite us round for the odd party. I mean, Club Cookson's was probably open maybe 3 or 4 times over the years, not many at all. But senior Cookson, Mr. Andrew, he was I don't know if you want to call him a seasoned drinker, but he had everything in, didn't he? If you went round and saw those guys for a drink, he had a mobile drinks cabinet that used to appear from plastic boxes from under the bed, and he could make you any drink that you wanted. There was homebrew drinks available. There was any spirits, all manner of lagers, because he'd gone to university in Southampton, I think. And there was a place down there called Jester's, and they used to make some horrible concoction that was green. I can't remember what it was called. But Andrew used to keep the ingredients of that on at home. But there was many stories. The odd virginity, I think, was lost round there. Any particularly bad memories, Pitts? There was a couple of homebrew batches that didn't do either of us. My one was
Snaps for me.
Snaps, yes. Was that another incident where you ended up home not quite as well as you could have been, or did you sleep? Was that the night you slept on the bench in the garden?
Couldn't tell you.
Whose garden?
I've had some bad experiences.
I think it was around Club Cookson's. I think he slept all night and woke up pretty much with a dew on him.
Do you mean
that would have been
just
one night?
One dew or multiple?
Andrew's homebrewed Malibu. Now, obviously, I don't drink anymore, but from the night that I drank so much Malibu, I picked a piece of chicken out of Cookie's sick and ate it.
Phil Aston. I thought it was pasty sick.
No, it was Cookie. It had a microwave co-op chicken tikka masala and rice.
That sounds nice.
Oh, who was it that ate Phil Aston's creme caramel that he'd eaten?
That was Phil Walton.
And he honked it back up, did he? Whole again. He sucked it down, honked it up, and then someone ate it off the floor.
Just opposite, you know where Saul's dad lives, just on the corner if you go up over the train gates.
Yeah.
He just honked the whole creme brulee up, or creme cat, whatever it's called, just on top of the wall. But he must have chewed it. But when he regurgitated it,
on the wall,
it came out whole, like someone had just pulled it out of the.
He'd sucked it out like the little Joe. And went.
There was plenty of good stories that come out of there. I mean, I used to, because we all like a good wind up, don't we? And obviously, we're brothers, and brothers being like they are, every now and again, the Club Cooks and brothers would have a little tiff with each other. I remember once we'd all come back from town, and I think Andrew and Alan had a couple of words with each other, and there was a few of us ready to sort of carry on drinking. And Andrew, in his strop with Alan, decided he was going to launch the house keys up onto the roof, and the house keys landed on next door's roof, slid down the tiles, and lodged themselves in the gutter. And we obviously had no way of getting in now, and I think ladders had to be used to retrieve them. But there was one time when Gordon came down
Off the garage.
Yeah, off the garage. Well, it was next door's roof they'd ended up
Cut the cable.
Yeah, he cut the cable to Andrew's stereo system. Strolled down the stairs,
but it was still plugged in.
Didn't say a word. Yeah, snipped all the cables and just walked back upstairs. All very good.
Was he trying to sleep? Was he not taking part in Club Cookson that day?
I think he was.
I never went to Club Cookson. I was too young.
Yeah, it was good fun. But like I say, for anyone watching this, Club Cookson's probably only ever opened 3 times, maybe 4 times. Very good memories. Drinking in Deal.
Me and Cookie used to do naked garden hopping, didn't we? Do you remember that? We ended up running around the BP garage naked at 3 o'clock in the morning after we jumped all the gardens down the road.
I remember. Was there a naked run getting badges off the front of local cars as well one time?
Yeah. We had also we stole that brass thing off the dentist surgery naked, didn't we? Me and Cookie went out. We were naked,
fully,
armed with
no
screwdrivers.
boxer shorts, just fully, just
Well,
a naked member of
I think we
screwdrivers
had
running
clothes,
through.
when we were stealing stuff, I think we had clothes on. But I think when we were garden hopping, we were just fully naked. And it was you hopped all the gardens, and if you hopped all the gardens from that road, you ended up in the garage, sitting at the petrol station.
Yeah. You end up
naked at the petrol station.
bang on London Road. Is there any more? I've got the Strand, because the Strand is always something quite good to talk about. Axel mentioned it earlier. It was a bit of a revelation when a establishment in Deal that wasn't Albies or the Clarendon or the Quarterdeck wanted to sort of, or was allowed to stay open till 12:30, I want to say, wasn't it?
12:31, something like that. It was late.
Yeah, 1 o'clock, I'd say.
Yeah.
But they would also, but the problem with that was it then came with bouncers. So every now and again you'd have to queue up to get into a pub, wouldn't you? But it always used to be good value in there. Never enough toilet space, I found. Always found that there was lots of young men queuing up to go in the cubicles. God knows what they were up to. Who's Mr. Penalty?
Chelsea.
Oh, that's all right then.
The Strand was me and my friends. That was our spot. We left you guys to the King's Head, and we'd always go down the Strand, walk in. Tables on the right. There was a big circle table that could fit about 8 of us. That'd be our spot. We'd take your poker dice, and we'd.
And was this when you were making frequent travels to and from your first job out of school, Axel?
Yeah.
Because you were in the Navy, so
in the military. Yeah, I did my time.
Thank you.
Well, you didn't get back one day, did you? Because Jubilee Way was shut. You had to ring me to ask how to get to Portsmouth.
GPS wasn't a thing then.
Dover.
I've only ever known one way in my life.
One of the few journeys he made it back without writing a car off, probably.
Okay, fellas, are we okay? I bought my own cars, just so you know.
I'll tell you, that was a good night down there watching in box, wasn't it?
The drive
when you two couldn't get in.
Oh, you went with Dad, didn't you? And I went with Northie.
You and North had a night out, or an evening out.
Yeah.
And then an interesting drive back.
Yeah. Getting pulled by the police on the drive home was interesting. Yeah.
Didn't you fall out the door?
I felt the policeman opened the passenger door and I fell out. Absolutely steaming. Thankfully for us, the driver hadn't had anything to drink that night.
So mine's good like that.
The policeman breathalyzed him, shut the door and said, "On your way, sir, and have a good evening." And that was one of those stories. Next on the list, WFCC, we talked drinking in Deal. I thought something sort of fun and interesting, or fun to finish on.
Fun. Oh, here we go.
No, we thought we'd mention a few stag do's because we've had a couple between us. And we don't, what people say, what goes on the stag do stays on the stag do. But I think there's a few things that we can touch on without incriminating too many people. Well, Paul's not too bothered because he's not married to the woman anymore. But in 2008, Pitts, was it? The year before Axel's famous TV appearance, we all ventured off to Barcelona.
I couldn't tell you what year it was, but yeah.
Did you get married in 28 or 29?
When did you get married?
2000.
No idea. I literally don't know.
Oh no, it would have been 2009. Because or would it? Can't remember. Anyway, it was around then, and we all met at Gatwick Airport. Barcelona shirts were ordered for us all, or we'd all ordered our own shirts.
Is this the one where Paolo didn't take it off?
Yeah. I've spent 60 quid on a shirt on not taking it off.
It's worn for 3 days straight and slept in it.
my one had come from a charity shop, and I hadn't washed it before, or it'd come from eBay or something on the cheap, and I hadn't washed it before we went, and soon realised it smelled like stale piss. But on that stag, so we all flew out to Barcelona. Martin North had done a fantastic job. He'd organised the accommodation in the well-known area of Barcelona known as Beirut.
Was it Beirut or Baghdad?
Baghdad, Beirut, probably doesn't paint a great picture of either of them, does it?
Chelsea have scored, by the way. Not very happy with this.
Bloody hell. It doesn't matter. But so we arrived, we'd all had a few sherbets, hadn't we, on the plane? We then all bundle into taxis to find this place. And then it's reasonably apparent that it's not in the best part of town, and it's a little bit hot in the apartment. What was there? 10? Was there 10 of us? 12 of us?
12, I think.
12. But it did have quite a nice little sun balcony, or sun terrace, you might call it. But my first memory is your old work colleague, Pitts.
What was his name?
Gordon.
Yeah,
Gordon. But weren't we asked to call him Norman?
Norman.
Yeah.
Normski. So Gordon, also known as Norman, had made the trip to Barcelona under the guise that he was doing some long distance lorry driving, wasn't he?
Yes.
He had quite a domineering, shall we say, wife.
No. Let's just say she's a fucking lunatic.
And he really didn't have access to his own passport. So a couple of weeks before, he'd managed to gain access to his passport by suggesting to his wife at the time that he was going long distance lorry driving. We got to Barcelona, and I think we'd had a couple in the airport. We'd then been round to the shop to buy some strong ales. And I think you said, Paul, he maybe had 3 or 4 pints over a period of 4 or 5 hours. And you said that it's probably best if he didn't have any more, didn't you?
Yeah.
We plied him with a few more. He plied himself with a few more. And then proceeded to be sick for 18 hours solid.
Yeah.
We got there. We had a night out, which he didn't make, did he? He didn't make the first night out because he was being sick. We came back from the first night out, and he was still being sick. He
slept in the toilet, still being sick.
Don't remember any of this.
Was sick on the balcony.
Yeah.
And that was quite funny because then the local stray cats ate all his sick. But he was just sick, wasn't he?
Yeah. And then he spent the next 2 days in the shade because he couldn't catch any sun because he was driving a lorry.
He could have just hung his arm out.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that.
But that trip was fantastic, wasn't it? We did the new camp. We did the new camp tour. We did a few drinks and tapas, and then we had a sort of night out down Las Ramblas sort of way. And one of our cohort, Mr. Let's not refer to him as his name. We referred to Mr. Battles.
I forgot to mention Mr. Battles in my drinking crew. He was actually one of the group he was the only member of our group that could actually drink.
Well, Mr. Battles had.
Well, he could drink more than me and Matt and Simon.
But he had his eye on one of the locals, didn't he?
Battles, yeah.
And little did Mr. Battles know that she had his eye on us, and she had a Eastern European gang of heavies monitoring her behaviour. So to describe her as a woman of the night may have been doing her a slight injustice, but Mr. Battles told us that
he'd call her a hooker.
She wasn't though.
Well, was she a hooker?
She was. I think she was pretending to be a hooker so that she could get in the rooms to steal everything.
So just as Mr. Battles procured a set of keys.
Why are you calling him Battles? It's Bettles.
Oh, his name's out now.
And he took this lovely new friend back, and I think he thought he was about to have some fun with her. But someone, I can't remember who intervened. Did me and Northy go and stop him?
No, me and Northy
I I left
Yeah.
that bit.
So he was found about 2 seconds away from putting his keys in the door, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And the gentlemen that were following the young lady, I'm sure they had plans to rob us blind. So another 30 seconds, and we'd have all been stuck in Beirut, Baghdad, Barcelona, with no passports, no cash.
We'd still be there now.
Yeah, but that was a good trip, Paul. I think you proclaimed the best kebabs ever.
Absolutely. And so did Saul, to be fair, because I think he had 16 in one night or something very ridiculous, wasn't it?
Yes, that boy could eat. I'm sure he still can eat. So
There's a lot of stag do's, to be fair.
There's been other trips since then, but another one that we all went on. Me and Axel had a funny trip to Budapest when you were on crutches. That was for
I used to love stag do's back then because I didn't pay for any of them. You paid for all of them.
I don't remember. Too generous.
You paid for every single one.
Oh, well.
Oh yeah, I had my crutches. I got to the front of the airport, didn't I? On my little machine.
But we did all get together in 2014 to head to Antwerp. I'd never really been up for the idea of me having a stag do. I was living happily just outside Den Bosch in Holland, and got told that I was having a stag do, and Antwerp was not too far from me in Holland, and it was not too far off the ferry terminal in Calais. So off we all trotted to Antwerp one balmy June weekend, I think, 2014.
How many people went?
We got there and we raised drinks to, I think, Mr. North had just announced that his first child was on the way. And then we proceeded to get quite drunk. There's a rather famous picture of me.
Oh, yes.
Derobed, testicle hanging out.
Did you see a little bollock between your legs?
Yes, when that got shared on Facebook, I was laughing. But some of
maybe make that the thumbnail for this with a little blurry bit across the middle.
Yeah.
Maybe with a little smiley face
censored across it.
Yeah.
to save my testicle. Yeah, when that got shared on Facebook, I mean, I had to see the funny side. What can you do? But I remember there was one lady that me and Erica know from the ski resort who took umbrage to seeing the picture on Facebook and was not happy at all. I thought it was quite funny, to be perfectly honest. It wasn't the first time I'd featured naked on Facebook after losing drinking chess to you, Axel.
Yeah, that's right.
But I don't remember too much about Antwerp. I do remember my roommate. We've mentioned him before. I won't keep mentioning his name, but my roommate decided that he wasn't going to use the safe facilities in our room. The second day out, we were sitting outside a bar. He was moaning. I said to him, do your eyes not hurt? It was a particularly bright afternoon. We all had sunglasses. He said, oh, I couldn't find them. I must have left them somewhere. We got back to the room that night, and he sort of informed me that he also couldn't find his iPod. at which point a small penny
gets suspicious.
At which point I said, oh, well, my iPad's still in the safe. I said, you don't think we've been robbed? And there was, I think there was 17 euros or something that he had cash in his wallet that was no longer there also. So that was quite funny. There also, Paul, you were sharing a room with James Styles. You thought it'd be quite funny to launch his
flip-flops.
Or were you sharing a room with Phil Aston?
I don't think I was sharing.
Did I share with
James? I went into his room.
I think I had.
Well, you went into James's room, and
I think I shared with you, actually.
I don't remember.
And you thought it'd be reasonably funny to throw his flip-flop out of our 6th or 7th floor window.
Just one.
Which was quite amusing, actually, because, the way a flip-flop is, it sort of helicoptered its way down to the street, and we all had a good laugh. And James had a bit of a monk on because he's now got to walk down to the street to collect his flip flop. And why have you done that? I don't want to. And as he left the room, we couldn't believe our luck as a homeless gentleman strolled past, picked up James's flip flop and carried on with his day. At which point James appeared at the street level.
Where's my flip flop?
Yeah, I don't think he believed that it had been stolen, but it had. James also featured quite heavily on that stag do, having spaghetti bolognese for breakfast both days we were there.
Yes, spaghetti bolognese everywhere. We turned up in Saigon when we went on holiday, and the first we ordered was a spaghetti bolognese.
He knows what he likes.
Don't tell all those stories because I've got that as a little thing to finish the show on. But anything else?
Well, maybe you should give us a heads up then.
Do we?
Yeah, maybe a Google Doc, open it so we can see.
Do we remember much else from Andrew? Do you remember the last night we were out drinking, Pitts? Because you got escorted home by some lovely people that night.
One of them was lovely.
Yeah.
A
German, two Belgian police officers, a male and a female, sort of dropped Paul back at the hotel and said, "I think this belongs to you." Had you got lost or something?
Yeah, I was lost and had no idea where I was. And I said, "Well, we can either arrest you or take you back to the hotel. It depends how nice you're going to be to us." At that point, I turned very friendly.
No clue.
Yeah, ever so nice. The Belgian police, you can't knock them. Ever so nice people.
Yeah,
I guess they're used to it.
Yeah, just another drunk English dickhead.
Yeah.
Any more? I don't think we went on any more stag do's together, did we?
Did we not do? Who did? Or was it just us two in Italy with?
Milan was Graham's 40th birthday.
That was birthday, wasn't it?
Pitts didn't.
But didn't we do something for Gibby?
Gibby, Prague, and Budapest, but Pitts didn't go on either of them.
I just remember Gibby.
Which one
he was so
punched Dean on?
weighing himself.
That was Cookies in Berlin.
Who punched Dean?
No one.
Stuart.
Where did we go? I wasn't around for Northies. Where did you go for Northies?
Where did we go for Northies?
Did I do
Slovakia?
Oh, Bratislava.
Bratislava.
Yes.
I don't think I did that.
No. There must have been one other trip we went on. What other trips have we done?
It's Bratislava when James Stars wasn't in the country 24 hours before he'd had enough of my story and left the country, hadn't he?
He left, yeah.
Did they not have it? They obviously didn't have good spaghetti bolognese.
No, but they had a very good Uber service by the sound way to the airport.
Well, James has
I
turned
remember
up
at 7 o'clock in the morning because he weren't there. And I was like, "Where are you, mate?" He went, "On the M25." I went, "Pardon?" He said, "I ain't listening to you fucking story another second." I opted an Uber and fucked off to the airport.
He's turned up. He turned up skiing in the middle of the night once. He'd missed. He decided he couldn't come because he was too busy, and then so he missed the flight, and then decided he could come. So just gets on a flight and then hires a car, or maybe he just drove all through the night actually. But talk us through a little bit, Pitts, of your Paul and James do Vietnam, because there's a couple of fun stories that come out of that, wasn't there?
That could be its own podcast series.
I think if there'd have been video cameras of your slow train journey through the countryside of Vietnam, that would have made some interesting watching, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, that didn't bode well from the start when I got there about midnight, I think, and he was already there. So he went out at a couple of beers and he was a little bit pissed. And I said, "We'll just stop in this one bar and we'll have one more beer." And he said, yeah, all right then. And I come back with a 7-litre beer with a tap on it.
Fantastic.
And then, so then we decided to get a balloon each and funny balloon things. And because we saw everyone doing it, it was like, so we're sucking these balloons and we weren't talking funny. We're like, well, I thought there was helium. So
were they the the good balloons?
The good balloons, which he tried later on in the trip when we met up with Tony Humphries and that from The Crown, because they appeared there as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
And that's when Tony Humphries saved James's life, because he'd worked out how to use this balloon. and his eyes went to the back of his head, and backwards he went onto a concrete floor. And Tony Humphries, I've never seen a man, for a 60 or so year old man, I've never seen him move so quick. He just dived underneath and put his hand under his head.
Saved him.
Saved him.
James owes him his life.
Phil Aston went backwards off the chair actually after doing on my 30th in Prague, doing a flaming absinthe when
in that little downstairs bar.
Yeah, it was in Louis' bar actually, next to the. No, it wasn't in the dungeon bar. It was in Louis' bar next to the Hotel Union where we were staying. And yeah, he sort of drank the absinthe. Then you sort of put the lid on it and then suck the. Yeah, and his eyes rolled and off he went. But no one jumped in to save him.
Yeah, and then we had the train journey, didn't we? Where
was it the train journey you fell out, or did you fall out after the train journey, or before?
Oh no, this train journey, it all happened on this train journey, didn't it? Because it was supposed to be 14 hours, it ended up being 28 or something ridiculous. So we sort of fell asleep at some point. He woke up. I've lost my wallet. We've been robbed. A bit like the cookie thing. I said, well, my wallet's still in my backpack. No, they've stolen my wallet. They've stolen my phone. They've stolen everything. And in a very James Styles way, in his fit of rage, he punched his pillow.
Yeah, bless him.
Oh, that's right. I remember I put him in there. As his sort of wallet popped out the end of it when he punched it. It's like, you're such a mob.
It wouldn't hurt though. Plenty of cushioning in a James Styles wallet.
Oh yeah.
So then we had the fallout. Where he
was that about bike riding?
Why'd you have a fallout?
Because he said, I want to do the next 2 weeks of this trip on a motorbike. And I said, you don't. We want to do maybe 3 days on a motorbike. Otherwise, your arse is going to be hurting. Your arms will be hurting. You've probably been run over by a truck in 2 weeks anyway. And off he stomped. Well, I'll go and fucking do it on my own then. And off James stomped up the train. He was
child syndrome, James Styles.
Literally, he was off. He was going to do Vietnam on his own on a motorbike. And he come back about 20 minutes later and went, well, should we do if you do it with me, we'll do the 3 days and then we'll see how it goes. I was like, okay, mate.
Take us.
Then I said, and what you've got to do, James, is stop putting your head out this train window.
Trying to lick lamppost.
Yeah. And then he had his head out the window. You've seen the picture, haven't you? He's got that massive tree at him.
Did he? But he managed to find spaghetti bolognese in Vietnam as well.
In Saigon, yeah. I've never seen anyone eat more ridiculous food than he is. You've got all them noodles and stuff, and he's eating Big Macs and spaghetti bolognese.
Well, when I lived with him for one ski season and did the second ski season with him, I don't know if the chicken fillet world record in Val d'Isere still stands, but James ate a box of chicken fillets every night for 2 whole ski seasons at a cost of about €17 a box each night. So the boy knows what he likes to eat. We're running, time is fast, running away with us. Let's just sort of touch on, because we had a bit of a talk about the sport and everything, didn't we? You're not in Germany at the minute, Pitts, but how, as the sport you're doing, your Bochum, how are they doing, and how is being a Bochum fan treating you? There they are. If you're not watching on the video, Paul has just showed us.
Give us audio description bits.
They're losing 2-0 to Augsburg at home at the moment.
Are they going to stay up?
Is that what he's looking at?
Yeah.
They're going to stay
and
up.
West Ham have just lost as well. They should. They're 8 points clear, 3 games to go with relegation, so they should be right.
But
and
cool.
Then, so we have another season in the Bundesliga.
And the fans of our first podcast will want to know how your exercise routine's been going on that exercise bike you bought.
Oh yeah,
absolutely fantastic. obviously, it's not. I didn't bring it to Lithuania with me because
they have a gym in the Hilton, though. No, they must have a gym.
Absolutely, and I'm there every night.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Axel, you've moved to a more
got a funny look off day.
A more sport-friendly country than you were in. You were playing a bit of golf out in Allain, but there wasn't much live sport, but you seem to have been got into you say you're a teacher and you work hard, but you seem to be following the basketball and the ice hockey quite a lot. How's it all treating you?
Basketball, not so much, but hockey we go to. The hockey arena is only 10 minutes from where I live, and the Hurricanes have made it to the playoffs.
So are they just the Carolina Hurricanes?
North Carolina, yeah,
North
Carolina
Carolina.
Hurricanes.
Yeah. So is North Carolina Michael Jordan country, or where was he?
Yes,
from?
it is. Yeah, Michael Jordan. Well, he went to college here.
Have you met him?
He comes to some of the games. I say hi. But yeah, we're going to the Hurricanes on Thursday, the last game before playoffs. So they're doing well.
When you say we, because obviously we've talked about Paul and he's having a child. Well, his girlfriend is having a child.
Well, it's not confirmed, Jeff. It comes out the wrong colour.
Okay,
Axel,
let's move on.
Anyone who follows Axel's social media will probably have noticed the Facebook love heart pop up not so long ago.
No love heart.
In a relationship.
There was no Facebook love heart.
How's it going with?
It's going very well, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you going to be having any children soon?
No, I don't think we'll be having children soon. No, it's too early in the relationship.
Is Mariah there with you now?
Mariah is there. Yep, she's just hanging around. She's in the bedroom at the moment.
Does she want to say hello?
No, she's busy. No,
tell her to say hello. Get her to say hello.
Mariah, no, she's busy. Sorry, guys. She can come say hello.
You're talking to your brothers here. We need to know our fellow family members.
Well, I'm just worried about the hundreds and thousands of fans that watch this.
So that's everyone caught up. We'll try and get together for, I don't know what we could base another podcast on, but we'll find something. Anything anyone wants to add before we go and get on with the rest of our Sunday?
I'm good. So.
No?
Good.
Yeah, come up with some ideas and we'll do another one in a few weeks.
Yeah. What ideas?
Yeah, come up with ideas and share the list. Make a Google. Well, Paul doesn't know how emails work. Share the list.
I'll just share a note across iPhone. Throw
it out to friends. See if they want to what they would like us to talk about. Okay,
so you heard it here. Hit us up. Hit me up at HWOMthepod@gmail.com. Drop Alex Instagram message. You can get me on Twitter, or you can get Paul on Twitter, or just write somewhere that what you'd like to see. We hope you've had fun. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll put a few links to all the places that you can find us in the notes for this. Until next time, gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been emotional. How do I turn this thing